This is the St. Louis County Domestic Violence Court. Since being started 13 years ago, the Domestic Violence Court has grown tremendously to include 5 weekly DV orders of protection dockets, as well as 2 monthly judicial monitoring and contempt dockets each. With nearly 1 million residents, St. Louis County is a bustling metropolitan area where just over 6,000 orders of protection petitions are filed each year. To keep up, the DV Court currently enlists 7 staff members, but it didn't always used to be this way.
So the foundation of the court really started with Judge Michael Burton back in 2008 when he was the administrative judge of the family court and the chair of our St. Louis County Domestic and Family Violence Council.
Initially, any judge that gets appointed starts off in the family court. That was my first assignment, and one of the parts of the family court is a order protection docket.
Prior to the DV court, the order protection dockets were randomly assigned, and there was no distinction between intimate partner relationships, strangers who are stalking, work colleagues or acquaintances.
There is a very high volume of cases in St. Louis County, and that cried out for new solutions to be found.
Before the court existed, there were inconsistent approaches. Some judges did not even want to broach the subject of these important remedies that could be, frankly, very lasting because the dockets were crowded and they believed it appropriate for something else.
Judge Burton really heard us when we expressed our concern about not being able to do many things for intimate partner violence cases in the adult abuse dockets.
He formed a committee made up of system stakeholders and community stakeholders to really look at the idea of starting a specialized domestic violence court in St. Louis County. I was working at the Batterers Intervention Program at the time, and as a representative from that community was asked to be on the committee. So I spent about a year working with that committee, doing research on domestic violence courts, looking at some of the other models and best practices, and creating ways and strategies on how to implement those in St. Louis County.
There are some great organizations that really work on helping judges enhance their skills in domestic violence settings. And they were really good folks that we could turn to for a lot of advice. And I'm assuming it was a combination of all those great people that just said, if you're doing anything involving domestic violence, you got to go to VAWA to get the support you need. In 2010, we hired a domestic violence court volunteer coordinator. We appointed attorneys, all doing this on a volunteer basis, to represent the court in figuring out child support charts, figuring out custody plans.
So when I started, I had that pool of volunteers. They had to actually have experience already practicing family law. And we asked them also to be certified as guardian ad litems. We wanted them to have that background. We did a yearly training that actually served as their CLEs as kind of a kickback to volunteering.
I worked at the local legal services organization for 10 years. Immediately before I became a judge doing domestic violence work, I represented survivors exclusively in domestic cases, including civil protection order cases. I was very impressed, really moved, frankly, by the efforts that were made to have appropriate and consistent and trauma-informed responses to survivors of domestic violence. It was quite an honor to be asked to join it once I became a judge. It's been very rewarding to be part of it.
We needed someone that really knew how to put together a program. Ultimately, that was the main way that we used the VAWA grant, was hiring Carrie DeLargy.
She screened each case individually. She also oversaw the compliance coordinator, and she was vital in developing the rest of the positions that came after as she identified needs and ran that program solo for 9 years.
So as an outsider coming in to a system that has to work extremely hard to remain impartial, it was critical for me to establish trust with our administration and with our decision makers And that meant, when I first started, honestly, having to CC a lot of people on every email that I sent. And over time, as the trust grew and the program gained momentum, those kinds of requirements decreased. And as we started to have positive results, we started to get a lot of positive feedback from the community for starting this court. I think administration was able to see that this was something that they could sustain long term.
There will never not be challenges. Challenges are everywhere, and they will be continuing, and they will evolve. It pays off when you see the benefits that the domestic violence court can yield, the increased safety, the increased accountability, the real chance for change, and bring that change to the community.
Please don't hesitate to reach out to courts that are already doing DV courts, compliance courts. No need to reinvent the wheel, and we are more than happy to go over our learning and our mistakes and our successes with you.
The money can be found, so I always suggest to start small. Slowly, be steadfast in your mission and in your dedication, and illustrate that it's effective.